Hi, this is Carl, also known as Zarepath in the custom magic community, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about Merfolk, and I have here with me today Zoo. Zoo, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm Zoo, pretty prolific designer around these parts. And the two relevant sets today that I had a part in designing are Rakoa and Custom Core 2020.
Yeah, and I specifically want to talk about Merfolk because we're in kind of this interesting window in the format in Custard where we're about to have a rotation, and we're going to have some sets rotate out and then a new set rotate in January. But right now, that means that this is the biggest that I think Custard has ever been. I think like 6 sets, I think, is the most there's been. But regardless, it's very large right now. And something about tribal decks is they generally need to hit a threshold of like constructed playable cards within the tribe for the deck to be good. And I think we're at the point where Merfolk is going to be the best that it's ever been in Custard, at least. And who knows if it'll be better after rotation, depending on what comes in. But a lot of the tribal cards are in Rakoa, which Zoo designed, and Rakoa is going to rotate out in January. So I think this is a perfect time to talk about Merfolk and revisit it and see if perhaps is Merfolk playable again. Well, I say again, is Merfolk playable at all in Custom Standard? I laugh because it's been attempted many times. There's been lots of powerful Merfolk cards, but for whatever reason, anytime someone tries to make the Merfolk deck work, it just hasn't worked for whatever reason. But Zoo, you kind of created this really cool, flavorful Merfolk tribe in Rakoa. Could you talk about maybe just how you approach that and like your general themes for Merfolk, how to make them different from like the typical Merfolk you see in modern decks and normal Magic?
Right, because definitely whenever you're making a custom set, you want to have an eye out for how you can make something both feel unique and fitting in with the rest of Magic, right? So
Yeah,
for a color, we went with a different combination of colors than we've seen for Merfolk for a long time, which is blue-black. We did see that in the
yeah,
Lorm and Shadowmoor sets, but it's been a while. And in this specific case, they are sharks. They're shark people, and
so
that provided
cool.
a lot inspiration for how they would also then be designed mechanically, because there's a lot of tropes around sharks. They're a very common pop culture item. I was able to run a lot for the play. Um,
Yeah,
so the two themes that we see across their design are flash, which is pretty common in Merfolk in general, but is especially nice here because it sort of represents, the shark surprising you, jumping out of the water, ready to strike,
or like
and
circling and then pouncing out of nowhere.
all the tension surrounding shark attack. And
Yeah.
then second theme is life loss matters. Bloodthirst, because if there's anything a shark
Mm.
wants, it's to smell blood.
Yeah. I when I first went through the Rakoa spoiler and saw the blue black sharks, I was like, wow, that's the coolest. That's the coolest take on Merfolk I've seen in custom. So really cool and appealing, and the shark imagery is just wonderful to have the shark themed Merfolk. Um, yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, sorry. I also think that around that time is when Wizards was like, okay, Flash is mainly in blue and black now,
Mhm.
or shortly before that, and this was a cool like for me a first look at okay, so what happens when blue and black get together and really lean into Flash as a strategy, and it was cool to see that in a custom set and a tribe that used that. And I kind of, I mean, we kind of laughed earlier about Merfolk never really making it to tier one, and the reason for that is, well, there's various potential reasons. One is that in a custom format like custom standard, it's never truly solved. Like we just don't have as many people playing it as there would need to be for us to really know what the absolute best decks are, to actually tune a deck to how it would really be the best. But then also, there were other flash decks that were a little bit more powerful at times, like Scriptures of Urshad had Bounty of the Gardens that used to be at instant speed, and so there was a whole flash deck that, you know, used that, and that was just a more powerful thing to be doing at instant speed. And then there's also a mono blue tempo deck, which has been really good and was just more consistent and a little bit better than Merfolk's ever been. But I think now Merfolk it might have a shot again. And, you know, I'll talk through why that is in a second.
A big challenge for tribal decks at a constructed environment is that your opponent is a lot more likely to have removal sort of when they want to have it. You know, they're going to mulligan for removal, or they're going to include a certain amount of removal in their deck to make sure that they can interact with the more linear decks in the format. And that means if you have a significant like roll differential between different cards in your deck, or especially if you have a significant power differential, you know, for example, if you're playing some like clearly kind of not that good Merfolk in their own, just because, well, they get by the Merfolk lords that I'm playing, then that means your opponent can use the removal on boards, and you have a bunch of crappy creatures. So it's not just about the critical mass of the payoffs; it's also critical mass of cards that sort of aren't going to leave you out. They're all left with.
Yeah. And that gets to why I think Merfolk might be better now, and that's the addition of a second Lord with Custom Core 2020. And Zoo was one of the designers of that set, and we have, you know, I have a list here of all the Merfolk in the format right now. You'll see that, you know, 70% of them are from Rakoa. There's a single one from Scriptures of Urshad, a single one from Erilu, and then, you know, like 25% are from Custom Core 20. But there's a bunch of really cool tools, and one of them is Pelennor Princess. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. What is it? Oh, Ulatos Pathfinder. I found the other lord. And this one is a much more typical Merfolk lord. If you look at the Rakoa Merfolk lords, they're very creative and unique and different. So you have like Kanokai's Recruiter that, you know, lets you play Merfolk off the top of your deck. And then you have Kanokai the Deep Blood, which lets you Yawgmoth's will your Merfolk from the yard for a turn. But those are not the typical Merfolk payoffs you get from, you know, normal Magic, where everything costs there's like 10 different Merfolk lords that all cost 2 mana and give all your Merfolk +1/+1. And Ulatos Pathfinder is a little more in that vein. Could you talk through that design, what your thinking was there, or what the team's thinking was there?
Yeah, in terms of designing a custom core set, we definitely wanted some of the constructed role player designs to have more of a sort of a typical design for their slot, just because we thought that would be useful to bolster up the potential archetypes in the format, but without taking too much attention away from the themes they're meant to be supporting, right? So the hope was that in the Merfolk deck, that is including both Rakoa and Scriptures of Urshad and Custom 2020 cards, that you're sort of your star interesting designs that people really come back from and have, you know, learn things about and have interesting stories to tell, are coming from the other custom sets, and the Custom Core 2020's cards are a bit more humble. So that was the reason why it was a more simple design. So in this case, we pretty much took the shortcut of that 2 mana lords tend to be good, right? You tend to have to put a lot more gas into a 3 mana lord to make it worthwhile. Yeah. So that was sort of our baseline for all the designs. We made it a 2-1 for 2 because blue very extremely rarely gets 2/2s for 2 that aren't double color rate. And I didn't want this to be double color rate because
it's a 2-color tribe, right?
well,
Or
because
ideally,
not only is it a 2-color tribe right now, it's in blue and black. It could theoretically be in different combinations in future custom standard sets. Then we wanted this to transition nicely into custom eternal, where someone might want to build, so let's say in 3 years, someone's building blue-red Merfolk. I wanted to be able to support that. And then in terms of this specific, the upside of being able to tap to give something unblockable, that was really more just sort of top down on the flavor that we ended up picking, because we ended up going with a sort of a traditional Atlantean, think the Little Mermaid style Merfolk for this set. We just found all our art for that and picked which would go where, and this one seemed like it sort of fit for that flavor of a Pathfinder.
Yeah, and I think that fits the Merfolk really well because they don't all natively have evasion. Like the deck I've kind of put together that tries to pull together most of the Merfolk tribal synergies and create like a good deck with a cohesive strategy. They don't really have that much evasion. They can protect each other. They have like cool synergies, but if they're not big, then they're not getting through. And so Uluto's Pathfinder can help things like Antarachi Hunter from Erelu, which you want to attack with it so you can make your opponent lose life as it attacks. But then if it just gets swallowed by something, that's no good. And so it's nice that Pathfinder can enable a lot of those attacks. And then you also have the Journey mechanic from Vastum, originally from Hollows, another one of your other sets, which cares about you hitting opponents. And there's cards in Custard right now that you can just throw into a Merfolk deck, and being able to get those journeyed cards into your hand is really useful. So and, I've enjoyed that with Pathfinder.
I didn't think about this until just now, but this also serves as a very oblique Lord of Atlantis reference, right? Because that grants evasion.
The Island Walk.
Much different, in a much different way, but considering Ulatos is our Atlantis, it kind of fits.
Right. So Uluto's Pathfinder, Ulatos, I don't know how it's pronounced. I guess Ulatos is it. Yeah. You don't have a pronunciation guide in the back of your set.
Not for this set.
No. You want to talk about Vat-Grown Assailant? That's an interesting card to me.
That one has a bit more of a journey to it, because that was originally designed with very different flavor. That was designed Aeroluian flavor, and in fact, it was going to be a very, very cheeky reference to a minor theme in Aerolu of caring about. I think the nickname for the theme was called Swamp Critters, and I don't remember the exact specific types, but it was something like insects, fungus,
saplings or something like that. Yeah,
something like that. And so the idea is that this Merfolk would be a Merfolk from the Aeroluian swamp, from the Antarachi, and they would be unblockable except by those types, which we thought, hey, what a fun little bit of texture to the format, what a fun little reference. And then I had added the Scry 1 on top just because I didn't want it to be strictly worse than Slitherblade, because that felt like a very wrong place for a constructed plant to be. And because we've seen that cards can be stronger than Slitherblade and still be completely fine. Card is not the Ceiling of Power by any reckoning. But then, so Aerolu, we were requesting...
You had to reflavor it.
Yeah. We had to reflavor it, and so we instead went with an inspiration from a card that you designed in Metropolis, the Vat-Grown Infiltrator, which was a Merfolk mutant. And so we thought, hey, might as well, similarly hit 2 birds with 1 stone, make another Merfolk mutant, support both the Merfolk tribe and the mutant tribe, which will be featured in a future video here.
Yeah, and rogues as well. That's kind of the fun thing with this one is it helps 3 different tribes all at once, and it's eminently playable just as a 1/2 that can't be blocked, that also has Scry 1. It just helps a lot of decks, and I don't think the Merfolk deck was hurting for 1-drops, but this is good enough that you can just that I think it is an upgrade to have in there. And just having that
Mhm.
reliable evasion is good. And then, you have some other merfolk like Limited Chaff and CC20, but one, Pellinnor's Beachcomber, I don't think goes in a merfolk deck. Well, yeah, let's not talk about that because we're not talking about other decks. We're talking about merfolk. I don't think
Right.
that's ever going to
That's
be
some
a merfolk
spicy
deck.
jank for the future.
Yeah, spicy jank for the future. But speaking of spicy jank, Pellinora, Princess of Ulatos. I'm interested by this one. How do you envision Pellinora playing? Like, what does Pellinora do?
Hmm. Um, the hope was for her to bolster a theme from Vestum that hasn't really done anything. Um, or that was sort of one of her roles. The other role was being kind of like the Beachcomber, a merfolk that is mostly for another purpose than the Merfolk deck, but theoretically could be used in one. And I think
Right.
the fact that it has flash speed and can protect your creatures is a big part of why it would be in a Merfolk deck. But anyways, the theme from Astum is the self bounce theme and the sort of the reliance on flicker value. So we thought that could be a nice cross archetypal thing.
Yeah. And I could totally see that happening. And the other line of text is super intriguing of, when she enters play, untap all other creatures you control because there's
Hmm.
combos with Village Bellringer and Pauper or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
that's half of a combo somewhere. I don't think we have the other half in Custard right now, and I don't even remember exactly what the mechanics of it are. But any creature that can enter play and untap all your other creatures makes me think it might see play in some kind of other deck.
Hmm.
So, I think there's interesting stuff there. Now, let me tell you my theory, and I don't know that you consciously thought this, but I was looking at all the merfolk trying to put together a new deck for them. I looked at Pellinora and I thought, she actually has really interesting synergy with Emissary of Dark Tides from Scriptures
Mm.
of Urshad.
Mm.
Emissary is. I thought Emissary was going to be much better than it ended up being when Scriptures of Urshad came out. Because I think in a tempo deck, being able to return one of their spells or one of their creatures, that's just a lot of flexibility. So, like, against a control deck, you can play it to blank a board wipe for one more turn so that you can get the last bits of damage in. Or against an aggro deck, you can return their hasty unproven hatchling or
Hmm.
their flipped land. I forget the name of
Oh,
it.
oh, a Lazacolo?
Yeah, like flip
Oh,
their
that's a
Lazcolo. That'd
beating.
be devastating. So I think Emissary of Dark Tides. Whenever I think about it, I think this must be amazing. Whenever I play with it, for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to fit how the
Hmm.
games turn out. But I think in Merfolk is really important because one drawback of tribal decks is generally you're playing lots of cheap creatures to like lean into the synergies and the lords
Hmm.
and those things, and you just get eaten by board wipes. Like you just get wiped out by a Vibrant Rapture or Wrath of Mod or something, and being able to just return that to their hand for that time walk is pretty amazing. And just having that natively on a flash creature that's also good in other matchups is, I think, has a lot of potential. And then in a grindier matchup, being able to return Emissary every turn with Pellinore's activation
Hmm.
is pretty great. Then you can just bounce the same spell forever.
Another really spicy ETB to rebuy with this is Kanokai.
Yeah, that's true. Because one thing about Kanokai is the ability looks so cool, but the timing is not always right. Like, too many times you just
Right.
want to play Kanokai on turn 2 because he's the 2-drop you have in your hand. And then you're like, okay, my Mythic Merfolk is just a 2/2 with Flash for 2. But if you can then return him later after maybe your board has been wiped or something, or, a lot of your creatures have been hit with targeted removal, and you have more mana available to you, yeah,
Hmm.
returning that and getting that ETB again is pretty sweet, I think. So yeah, CC20 brings a lot of cool tools. I've pulled up here my my deck. Some other tools that have come in recently. So aside from just the Rakoa Merfolk and the CC20 Merfolk, Disrupting Current has always kind of been part of the Merfolk deck because it's just such a good tempo card, and in a deck that leans blue, having a mana leak is really good in a tempo deck. But Conspicuous Homicide, I think, is really good for an aggressive tempo strategy, and that's from Secrets of the River Cities. Being able to destroy a creature for 1 mana, even though they get card advantage from it, you're not so worried about losing the card advantage war in this deck. Like, you're not trying to win a long game usually. And so I'm curious how that plays. I've had it played against me, and it always feels cheap that they can kill my creatures for 1 mana, even though I get the card back. So I'm curious to see how that plays. And then Dubious Path is a fast land for blue-black, which I think goes a really long way. Yeah. We've had rotations where we just didn't have the mana base to support allied decks. Like, for whatever reason, 4 and 5 color decks had better mana than 2 color decks. I think that problem is kind of fixing itself now, thanks to a bunch of new lands that we've printed, like Dubious Path. But yeah, I think that helps the tribe a lot. And just to run through this deck real quick, and then I was hoping if you're still down for that, Zoo, just playing some games to see the deck in action and see how it works.
Sure.
Okay. So in this deck, I've got 3 Emissary of Dark Tides. I'm testing to see if it really is good in enough scenarios that you can just run it main. I have 3 Eternal Wanderer as the only non-Merfolk in the deck. This has the journey mechanic I talked about earlier. It's from Vestum. Journeyed cards are in exile, but you can get them whenever you deal combat damage to an opponent. And this is just a really good card flow engine for an aggressive deck. You can get tons of cards off of this 1 drop as long as you are willing to pay the 1 mana each time you deal damage. And so I think that's good for this deck. There's not a lot of great card flow options in Merfolk aside from this. There's a card in Rakoa that has Prestige Pelagic Peddler. And that can get you some cards, but if your opponent would rather lose life, then they just do that, which is often good also in this strategy. But since you don't have control over the cards and you need to be attacking with 3 creatures, it's just a little more situational. I like Eternal Wanderer in here. Then 2 Kanokai's Recruiter, that helps with the card flow as well. Only 2 because having more than 1 I don't think helps you that much. It might not even be correct in the deck, but it's just something I want to test because it's a tribal synergy. And then same with the 2 Kanokai. I mentioned the issue with Kanokai where sometimes you have to play them on turn 2 and you kind of lose out on the ability. Pelennor maybe will help with that. So maybe another Merfolk that maybe should be in the side, but one I want to test in the main right now. 4 Antarachi Hunter. I really like that as an aggressive 1 drop that can flip later. A fun of Pelennora to see what she does if she works out here to protect against targeted removal and things. Ramari Hunt Captain is the lord, the more traditional lord from Rakoa, except it has flash, which is really cool. You can surprise an opponent with a big explosive attack after flashing this in the turn before. And then Pathfinder we talked about, Vatgrown Assailant we talked about. Wavebreaker Shaman gives some protection and a little extra damage bonus when you need it. And then I talked about Disrupting Current, a single out of date, just because I don't think Conspicuous Homicide can cover all your bases. Sometimes you need to out of date a vehicle or something that's been reanimated and is attacking you, things like that. And then Spell Pierce is usually really good in these kinds of decks, but I just have it in the sideboard right now because I don't know if it's good in the main. And I have not built out my sideboard. This is just really a 60 card main, and I've only done enough thinking to realize I probably want 3 Spell Pierce in the sideboard. But yeah, that's my take. This is what I call Blue-Black Merfolk CC20 0.1. And let's take it for a spin. Zoo, you've got a deck you're willing to throw against my brew here?
I do. And I've got a game up as well.
Thank you so much. Okay.
I will be playing my patent pending, mono green Stompy.
Mono green. Okay, I'm a little scared about this. Mono green has performed really well lately.
It is. I'm 3-0 on my current run.
Nice. Okay, I'm ready to go. All right, let's roll, and we'll just do some. What you call it?
Sideboardless.
Yeah, sideboardless.
Game ones.
Several best of ones. Yeah.
Indeed.
All right, I assume you want to go first.
Very much so.
Yeah. This looks keepable for me.
I will keep likewise.
Okay. Jericho's assistant. Okay. Well, let's lead with this. Fat-grown assailant, our mutant friend. The scry here is really valuable, I've found. A lot of times a good scry just feels like drawing a card.
Ah, crap.
So a question we want to ask ourselves is if we want to trade with Jericho's assistant. And I don't think we do. We'll take 2 damage. Green Stompy also has access to main board combat tricks.
Combat tricks. Yeah.
Which, maybe I'd be okay with them using a combat trick just to kill my 1-drop, but I don't know. All right. Oh, that's interesting. Can't pair it with much, though. So I think we start doing this. It's like this now, and the next turn, this. I don't know. Yeah. So deciding to race against another aggro deck that went before you maybe isn't always the best strategy, but we'll see how this goes. All right, we've dealt 2 damage, and we've got our Lord here.
Given your synergies, it might very well work out.
Yeah, and that's the thing about tribal decks is if you face them up against another just aggro deck, if you get enough synergies together, I think sometimes you can race them. But if you don't, or if they remove your stuff, then maybe not. So I'll take 3. Okay. So they're holding up 3 mana, which has me a little concerned. I don't know your deck well enough to know if you have flash stuff. This is useful, although maybe we want to save this and this, both of these. Yeah. Okay, we are going to attack with both of these.
Okay.
Something's happening. Okay.
A detective.
Okay, I think a protective detective. Well, we're going to say nay to that.
Wow. Rude.
Your currents have been disrupted. It's nice to counter stuff instead of destroying stuff right now because Jericho's assistant is super annoying.
Indeed. And the Sewer Stalker as well.
Yeah, it
Both
makes
of them grow.
And that they punish, like if I want to get rid of that resolves. If I want to get rid of your Fox Agency operator, for example, I'll get punished twice. The Sewer Stalker will get bigger, and I will, you'll get a clue from Jericho's assistant. Okay. All right. Well, not ideal, but I think we do this and this, and we just go off to the races. I hear you like clues.
No.
Would you like 2 more?
I've
Have another clue as well. You get 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I sure hope I'm able to use these clues.
Yeah.
Solve the mystery of who's murdering me.
That's true. It's like an incredibly conspicuous homicide.
Oh God. Oh no.
All right. And this is why I was a little more comfortable with the race, because having two lords in my hand that both, boost power seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we have the win next turn if they don't. Well, I mean, I guess blocking is a thing. And I guess that's the power of conspicuous homicide. Is sure, it gives them the card, but what they really need is time. Well, I can't speak to what they really need right now. I don't know what's going on over there. Oh, Sewer Stalker should be a little bigger too.
Indeed. This is really tough.
So on board, we still can't win next turn. Like, we don't automatically win. Because you could hold black. We could make one of our creatures unblockable in addition to the Vat-Grown Assailant, but not all three.
Both.
Or...
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to block. I'll take 4.
Okay.
So one card that we're probably scared of right now as a Merfolk player is Toahanga's Choi. Yeah. Dang it.
For example.
Because it's, it's removal. It can also buff their stuff to race us really good. Dang it. All right, so we lose a Lord, and that...
I was thinking of doing that on your turn, but if this gets counterspelled, I kind of just die. So.
Interesting. Did I have counter magic? I don't know. I had a really cool play lined up. Something else.
You played counter magic this game.
That's true. I was just wondering if I had mana up at the time or not. I may.
No. I meant I was gonna wait an additional turn, but then I realized.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, that would not have gone well for you. I'll just say that.
Not just the actual counter spell, but also the bounce guy.
Yeah. I love playing at flash speed, at instant speed. That's one of my favorite things in Magic, which makes me enjoy this tribe a little bit more. We can't do both of these things anyway, so we're definitely doing this. The question is how much attacking we would like to do. You attacked me from 12 to 8, right?
Correct.
What are the chances you can kill me next turn? I don't think they're high, but you have 4. If you could deal 3 more damage with another choice. If you have 2 choices, I'm in big trouble. No, I think we're okay here. I'm going to attack for 4.
Yep.
All right, and then we'll do Vat-Grown Assailant. This vat that these mutants grow in, they grow them to be assailants. They grow them to be infiltrators. Do they have Vat-Grown like peace lovers? Vat-Grown, I don't know.
Vat-Grown pacifists.
Yeah, I think I want to keep this. This seems useful for us, so I'll leave that on top. And we're going to end the turn with conspicuous amounts of mana up.
But no amount of homiciding available.
That's true. Not that kind of conspicuous. As annoying as Jericho's assistant is, it is nice to be racing instead of trying to kill all your stuff. All right, so we have one. All right, let me think about this. You're trying to kill my lord here.
Correct.
If we do that, then that doesn't help us much. Okay, fine. It's dead.
One piece.
Rip. Drawing a card. See, now those clues are coming back to haunt us. We weren't able to shut the door. I think I'm A-okay. I'll take 4.
Yeah, maybe that just gets me killed, actually.
It might. End of your turn, I'm going to play Emissary of Dark Tides.
Ah. Okay, it did just
And I'll
get me killed.
bounce Sewer Stalker. Yay! Okay. So, the play I was really excited for that you stopped by inconveniently killing my creatures was I had the 2 Pathfinders and the unblockable one. And I was like, man, I can, have them all give can't be blocked to each other, but then they're all tapped. Well, I had Pellinora in hand. I could have main-phased Pellinora to untap them after giving each other unblockable.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That
I was
is
like, hey.
super cool.
So Pellinora, I'm actually really pleased with. I don't think you want more than... I don't think you want a lot of her, but she's a little Swiss Army knife.
Like 2.
Okay, is this the same deck, or are you doing a different one?
Deck now. This is mono red.
This will be a test.
The you must be this tall to ride of the format.
Yeah.
I'll move this.
Are you gonna roll to see who goes first?
Oops.
Okay. Well, that was a good game. Let's go to the next. No.
I'll keep this.
I'm gonna keep this also. Yeah, we're keeping this. All right, they don't have a 1-drop, which is that's a very good sign for us. Although it might just mean that they shock our turn 1 play, so I don't know. Hey, even better. Even better. Okay, Barroom Brawler. Yep. Okay, well...
Bringing in the ale.
That could prove quite explosive depending on what else they have going on. Let's do this. Okay, I attack you. You lose 1 life.
What the heck do you have in your deck?
I mean, I literally told you all the cards.
It's true. I just don't remember which one enables you to do this. The blue uncommon, and then they'll trade? Oh, the Lord. Why did I forget about the Lord? Well, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a super great move for me, but I'm really worried about you having Path of Brutality, so I was okay with it. Okay, War Driver and Firestoker. All right, hey, it's turn 3. I have 20 life, and they have 19 life, so...
You're winning!
I accept. I will accept that. But what do we want to do? We could do that and that, or we could hold up that. I can hold up enough things in this deck. I'm not worried about giving away information by saying that I might be able to hold up something. All right, let's try. Let's lead with this.
Aha.
I'm going to just look at the top card of my library. I can do it whenever I want. You can't stop me.
You know what? It's true.
I've never thought of this as a way to just plan your next turn at the same time. That's interesting.
Kind of an incidental. Yeah.
Oh, it also lets me know. This is kind of a cool combo. I didn't like what was on top, so I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to toss that.
I'm gonna say that was intentional.
Are you? Well, okay. You're going to say it. Do we believe it?
No,
I don't know.
I'm gonna claim it.
Yeah, I'm actually pleased with all of the random little tricks, like little tricky synergies. They're not really tricky, but they're just kind of fun. Um, okay, so they have a lot of beer. Still not attacking us,
So
though,
much beer.
which I'm okay with. All right. That's good for us. Let's see the top card of our library. I wish I had another Vat-grown Assailant. I wonder if fetch lands, the blue-black fetch land is good in the deck
Ooh,
with Kanokai's
interesting.
Recruiter.
Maybe
I mean, I think you
you're
want to be
playing all
low
four.
enough to the ground, maybe not, but if,
Yeah, you play so many one drops.
yeah. Maybe there's a different build that wants to do that, but I don't know. Cave. All right, I do have, I'm sorry, I haven't been,
Marking the PT.
yeah, I always forget that. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
There we go. Well, you'll kill the recruiter, so I'll attack with the unblockable thing
Mm-hmm.
and finish the turn.
Hatchling?
No, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Hatchling's dangerous because they could have given it haste and then hit prestige, and that would have not been
Yep.
great for us.
Swung for 8 in there. If I,
All
well,
right.
if I correct the A is on.
Oh my gosh. Our draw steps have become very predictable lately, I will say. All right. Is this really dumb?
You tell
How
me.
dumb is this? You know what? It is dumb. And so I won't do it. I was thinking of flipping
Right.
Cave. I was like,
Yeah, that doesn't seem that great right now.
yeah, like you'd lose Firestoker and I'd have a good attack, but I would lose 8 life for free against a red deck. So we're not going to do it. Maybe later. Okay. No.
Jeez, so many of those. Dang you.
That's another benefit of a blue-based tribal deck is good counter magic,
Yeah.
which goes well with the flash theme. I mean, I haven't had that much flash going on. I had Hunt Captain. There was the
I wonder if I should have just been attacking this whole time.
I've been afraid of your attacks because I wasn't sure if I wanted to trade or not.
Just sort of awkward because I know you can outvalue me. You can just sort of trade pretty reasonably. Just keep the
Maybe.
recruiter alive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what is the correct strategy or not. Yeah, because I'm playing defensive, but you have evasion. So, and also you're gaining card drive returns. I probably should have been attacking this whole time,
Okay. Firestoker's. All right. Of these things, which one do I want to kill? I might want to kill the War Driver because it all deals the same amount of damage. Although if you have another Barroom Brawler, yeah,
that can be
stacking this.
how we
yeah.
say terrifying.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll take 4.
Take 4 and trade.
Yeah. So we lose. We're not able to race as well now. So, but we'll see how good Kanokai's Recruiter can be for us. Oh, thank heavens. We finally found a Merfolk on top of our deck, by the way.
In the Merfolk tribal deck.
Yeah, it's been all islands. Okay, so I'm going to play that from the top. Merfolk Storm. All right, so I'm going to look... Whoa. I'm going to look at the top card before I scry. Or I guess that doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll put that on the bottom. Guess what it was? It was another island.
Wow.
All right, I found something that is not an island, but I can't... Well, let's just not tell you everything, I guess.
Go on. Keep your secrets.
Oh, fine then. Keep your secrets. All right. We'll hit...
Just quoted it. Damn.
Is it fine then? I'm not sure. All right, we're going to hit you for 3. I never thought I'd be able to get the Scry 2 on Kanokai's Recruiter, but this is probably the matchup for it.
Yep.
All right. Now we get to look at 2 things. Yeah. So this is the dream of Kanokai's Recruiter. I'm living it. I get to fix the top of my deck. Vacaron Assailant does go really well with it. Have I played a land? No. More lands for us. And... yeah, we're done.
I honestly had forgotten about the recruiter trigger.
But the what trigger?
The recruiter trigger.
Oh, otherwise maybe you wouldn't have raced.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really want to block that. Because... yeah, okay. I'll take the 2. Ankulum. Alright, we're going to try something a little silly.
Oh.
In response, we're going to look at the top 1 card. We're going to play Wavebreaker Shaman.
Okay.
And target, I don't know, Assailant, I guess.
Yeah.
And see if the top card of our deck is now... oh, no, but we can only counter non-creature spells with that Merfolk.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, you can still tap, but you can still bounce the Firestoker.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking I could maybe dig for a counter to Ankulum off the top of my deck, but that's not happening. Okay, that resolves.
I'm gonna heal. I think. Yeah, no, I don't know.
All right.
I have so little experience with this matchup. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one. Oh,
right? Not only is this deck Merfolk Storm, but it's going to take the format by storm.
Exactly. Well...
Merfolk Storm. Is that sort of like a Sharknado?
Merfolk Storm? I would like... maybe that's what the blue-red Merfolk deck is going to be, is a Merfolk Storm deck.
No, but that's what you can call this one. You can submit this to tournaments as Sharknado.
Yeah. Something you could have done, I don't know if it would have been the right play, is giving haste to Ankulum. Probably not.
Oh, no, I just don't know.
Yeah.
That recruiter is honestly terrifying. But I mean, the real truth of it is just if I don't like get it off the battlefield, I die, and probably I die anyways at this point.
Okay.
I misplayed really bad. I should have
been attacking earlier.
had I expected you to have counter magic, I would have been playing these instead of my like real haymakers.
Yeah.
Well, GG's.
Okay. I mean, was that a good game there? I don't know.
I don't know. I misplayed.
Fair enough.
So it's fine if I lose.
I really like Hakbora in this deck as just like random reach. Maybe it's not good because it's a tempo loss if you're just trying to cast your stuff on curve earlier, but...
I
Yeah.
think that you're putting the opponent on the defensive often enough that you'll have life to spare to do it, and it just swings games out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's just a
I
high
think it's always
upside
like playing like
include.
one. Yeah.
And the ceiling isn't terribly low. And yeah, and if you make the mistake of flipping it when you shouldn't, the game ends really fast. So
Right.
the games
I'm at
usually
one
end
life
one way
now.
or another.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Aye, aye, aye. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I know how I'd sideboard against this deck in Mono Red. I'd pull in all these shocks,
Oh
all of these
man.
flames of the ideologue. I'd get all this interaction in there.
See, I don't know what Merfolk would have against aggro though from the side. I think the black hand attack spell that hits both blue and red cards.
Price of Naivete.
Yeah, Price of Naivete would be really good, I think, because it also
I think
drains
that makes
for
a lot of
one.
sense.
Yeah.
Not having
Yeah.
to counterspell like tricky hatchlings seems really valuable.
Yeah. Do you have one more game in you, or are you good?
Oh, I think it's getting a bit late.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I feel pretty good about Merfolk. I liked a lot of the things I saw.
Mm.
It had game against two decks that I think are good decks, and I was surprised by Kanokai's Recruiter. That was one card that I was looking at as a
Yes.
cuttable card. So I think maybe particularly in aggro decks, aggro matchups, I should say, it makes
Yes.
racing really scary.
Like if you're in a control meta, like maybe pass on it. But
Yeah.
when your opponent is also a linear deck with like or a mostly linear deck with like not that much interaction, the card is very good.
Yeah. And then Vatgrown Assailant is just really good, and
Mm-hmm.
Pathfinder obviously was
Has good
very
synergy.
explosive. And
Yeah, no, I really feel like that deck put up a good showing there. I did not purposefully lose on camera to make the deck look good. I did not. These were real losses, everyone.
That's true. That's true. And then Pellinora never saw play, but there were several like potential cool plays that I saw
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't happen, but I could see them happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I just leave this to better deck builders and better players than me to fine tune it. But I think there's fun tools to work with here, so I'm really excited about the potential for this tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks you guys for watching, and thank you, Zoo, for coming on and talking through the tribe with me.
My pleasure.
All right, thanks so much.